Hi, my name is Grace Speroni, and welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. I am so delighted to have with me today Allison Henry from the Sugar Chalet. Allison, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here because I love food, and who doesn't love sweets?
I know.
So you are a young woman, and you have accomplished so much. Tell me about your journey. What led you to the Sugar Chalet?
Yeah, so when I was really young, my parents let me run amok in the kitchen. My mom called me the tornado because I would just like leave stuff behind, a trail. My grandma would have to clean up behind me. So they just let me be in the kitchen and make all kinds of stuff that I liked. So I just kind of kept growing from there. And I actually auditioned for MasterChef Junior when I was in 4th grade.
Really?
So yeah, so that was super cool. I made it to the 2nd round of auditions, but I didn't make it on the show, unfortunately.
But how exciting.
Yeah.
That's so, yeah, that's even, I thought you were young now, but at that age to be
I
able
was
to
like
have
11,
that
I think.
experience,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Good for you.
And then my high school was a tech school, so I did culinary while I was there. So I had 4 years of culinary experience before I had even graduated high school. And yeah, so
and
just
then
kept cooking. And then I went to New York City. I went to the Institute of Culinary Education. So that was like an 8-month program. So I lived in Manhattan, and I also had to have a job because I couldn't be jobless in New York. So I worked in 2 different Michelin star restaurants, and that was a huge adjustment from small Massachusetts kitchens. So yeah.
Well, when I learned that you had gone to school in New York, I thought, oh, like that's got to be the perfect place to go, because like with every street corner, there's a different country's cuisine that you could be experiencing, right?
Yes.
Or you go in the winter and you smell the roasted chestnuts, and it's like, what a great place to be.
Yeah, it was a lot of, I went in, I started on garde manger, which is like the cold salads and appetizers and stuff like that. And then I got promoted to broiler. So I was doing that, like steaks and stuff and the fish. So it was really cool.
So you did savory. So you
Yes.
started with
I actually
that?
am a trained savory chef. I'm not even a trained baker. So, yeah, I worked on the line a lot in New York, and I actually then switched to do pastry because I just needed like a change of pace. Like it was a lot going to school and working like a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I was doing pastry production. So I would like make all the cookies and make the doughs. And then I'd get to go home early. So that was nice.
So you found your passion lied in sweets
Yes,
versus
I feel
savory?
like, yeah, I think you have a little bit more creativity in baking sometimes.
Let's the artist in you come out
Yes.
and express your artwork through pastry.
Yes, you get to do really nice presentations, and that's kind of my favorite part. So,
Well, you do some wonderful things.
thank you.
And, I love watching on Instagram all these great chefs that are out there. They all have like these great ideas, and I'll say, oh, that looks really good.
Yes.
So I can recreate it.
Yeah.
But then when you're recreating it, you think you're really great, and you're like, oh, I love strawberries or raspberries. Let me just add that to it. And then it's like, oh, so maybe that wasn't a good idea when the product is done.
Yeah.
And
There's definitely certain parts that are very like scientific and precise, and then there's other
Yes.
parts where you can kind of just do whatever you want. So it's like it takes a lot of stuff to like learn like where you can adjust and where you have to be precise. So that's why a lot of people don't like baking.
Yeah,
Because,
it's this crazy science. And again, I love playing with that, but like something you think is as simple, making sourdough bread, like that is another one of those sciences where it's you have to have the ratios down correctly.
That
and
was
heaven
something-
forbid you go just slightly off track.
That was something I had to do in New York, was make the little sourdough balls for bread
Yes.
service. And every single day was different because the temperature in the kitchen was different. So like one day the bread would have to rise for like an hour, and the next day it would take 20 minutes for the bread to rise. So you go a lot based on looks and temperature. So that's really where it all varies and stuff like that. Yeah.
How do you master all of that?
You don't.
So do you too do like trial and error when you're
Yes.
creating these wonderful things?
Yeah, so there are certain recipes that I've used in the past that I know are good that I use again. And then I just made English muffins for the first time, actually. So that's something I've been wanting to put on my menu. So I had a full day where I made English muffins, focaccia, and bagels. And
Sounds good.
the bagels didn't turn out. So that was something I was like, oh, maybe a different recipe or something different that I need to do. So it's a lot of trial and error.
Okay, so now see, if that were me and I try it and it doesn't come out right, it's like, okay, I'm not doing this
It's
ever
discouraging.
again.
Yeah.
How do you like pick yourself up and say, okay, it didn't work. Now what? How do you do that?
If I have like my mindset on wanting to make something, I'll just try it again and just keep trying it until it works. So,
Well, kudos to you.
thank you.
And I recently had one of your, my favorite cookie, and you didn't even know that. But it was just so delicious, and it was Nutella. And I will smear Nutella on everything.
Yes.
Ask anyone who knows me. And I was like, oh, I've got to try this. But it was so wonderful because I actually tasted the pastry, the cookie dough.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is really good. And then it was like the explosion,
Nutella.
the Nutella. And it was
Yeah.
like, this is even better. But I loved how one item didn't overpower the other.
Yeah.
That was
one
fantastic.
It's like a really simple sugar cookie dough, and then it just is Nutella in between. I didn't even make it like a ganache or anything. It's just right from the jar.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it was fantastic. And
Thank you.
It was just like, again, I liked that I could taste the cookie. And then the Nutella was like that smear I would have put on
Yeah.
there. It was just perfect.
Thank you.
How
Yeah,
do
I
you-
like doing like desserts where it's like a little like the cream puffs. It's like a vanilla shell, and then I did a really like flavorful strawberry pastry cream inside. So I like doing little things like that. One time I made an apple one. So I did like a spiced shell with like cinnamon and cardamom, and then I did a nutmeg pastry cream, and then I put apple butter inside, and then I put a caramel cream on top. So it was like all kinds of different flavors that work together. So it was really good.
So how do you come up with these flavor combinations, and how do you dial it back so you don't get too carried away with it?
Yeah.
But where does the creativity for that come
I
from?
use social media a lot,
Uh-huh.
and I'll find like a recipe that I like, and then I'll know there's like other flavors that go well with that, and then I'll kind of just put them together using other components. Like maybe this will be the cake, and then this will be the filling, and this will be the buttercream. So it's nice to kind of like build the flavors together. I like doing that.
I love the building of
Yeah.
flavors. And you did that very well last year at the Feast in the East.
Yes.
Tell us about the dessert you created, because you came in second place.
Yes, so I worked really hard on this. So I did like a tropical drinks boat of cookies. So I did a pina colada one, a blueberry lemonade, I think, and then a raspberry lime margarita cookie. So those were delicious. And it was fun to kind of do the little presentation because I love pina coladas. They're my favorite. And I just really like tropical flavors. So it was really easy to kind of put together and do.
That's where your inspiration came
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
Imagining being on an island and
Yes.
sipping your favorite
Yeah.
pina
It
colada.
was like 30 degrees and I was like, I need to get away.
So what are you thinking for this year's? Do you want to share anything, or
think
will
so.
we just have to wait and
So,
see?
because it's on my 21st birthday, I feel like I have to do cake and ice cream. So I think I'm going to do like a peach and bourbon spice cake with a vanilla ice cream on the side. So I think that will be very good. I'm debating on whether or not I want to make it warm or not, and then have the ice cream kind of be melty. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Well, I think that adding the bourbon is going to make a whole lot of folks happy. That seems to be a flavor that's very popular right now.
Yeah.
So you're going to be celebrating your 21st birthday. You really have accomplished a great deal. I know I keep
Yeah.
saying you're young, but you know, for a young person, you have accomplished a lot.
Yes.
What motivates you? What drives you?
This is something that I've just always wanted to do. So whenever I see an opportunity to like do something that will boost this like bakery that I have, I want to take it because I just really am excited to get there and finally have like exactly what I've always wanted. So I'm just really excited.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
So is there a mentor?
Yeah, definitely my family, my mom and my dad help me out a lot, and my grandma too, and my sister. They all do. But
So
they
it's
all,
a family affair.
yes, they all help me at the bakery. They all help me cook and keep myself organized, which is good. So I appreciate them. Yeah.
Well, that is great that you have such a strong family unit that supports
Yes.
you and guides you through all of this.
Yeah. It's good. I have a good support system.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
So where do you see the Sugar Chalet in 2024?
Hopefully there'll be a storefront coming soon. So I'm working on that. It's definitely a lot of stuff that I have to put together, all these different components. But I just really want to have like a nice bakery, coffee shop, cafe kind of place where people can come and hang out and just eat good food. So that's what I've always wanted.
I'll be there.
Yes, you
That
should.
sounds wonderful. I love coffee, pastry. Goes
Yes.
together well. So we will probably have to circle back with you and do another podcast
Yes.
to find out where you're at.
Hopefully by Feast in the East,
Ah,
it'll be,
there may be an
Yes.
announcement.
Yes.
Okay, stay tuned.
yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. This was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And if our audience wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do so? Place their orders for those fabulous Nutella cookies and other wonderful items that you have.
So the sugarchaletma.com is the best way. That's my website. It has all my social media, my email, and my phone number. So they can see all the past work I've done. I have some galleries of pictures and stuff. So that's the best place.
All right. I'll be visiting that soon and
Yes.
placing my order.
Okay.
It was a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us for Conversations with the ERC5 here at Stonegate Studios in Wilbraham. If you would like to be the next guest on the podcast, please go to erc5.com and you can sign up there.